OP's daughter allowed her friends to saw her little sister, refused to reveal their names, showed zero remorse, blamed OP and her sister for losing her friends, who literally saw her sister, all because of jealousy. Her ex likes her sister more than her. OP lost it and kicked her daughter out after disowning her. To start off everything, I'm a widow and have 3 children. But in this post, I'll be focused on my 2 youngest daughters, Leah F14 and Maya F18. False names, of course. For a little background, Leah was roped by 4 men back in December. How this incident accrued was that Maya threw a party while I was working the night shift, and 4 of the boys that were in attendance at this party assaulted Leah. It's been devastating, to say the least. Leah has lost all of her spark and quit cheering. Plus, on top of that, she opted out of her freshman year by just continuing to do courses online. She doesn't sleep in her room anymore, but with me, and just wears my late husband's hoodies all day. And I feel so helpless as a mother, because I don't know how I can help her. Throughout the investigation, a lot of things came out regarding Maya's part in this. She did not set up her little sister. However, I feel like she severely neglected her, and all of this could have been avoided if she just followed my rules. I never approved a party. I left her in charge of watching Leah, and before you guys say, well, you're her mother, it's not her job to watch your kid. But the thing is, it was her job. I pay her really well to look after her sister while I work nights. It's been an agreement we've had for years. Leah has no special needs in any way. The only thing I asked of Maya was that she make sure her sister does her homework and gets to bed at a reasonable time. The men that assaulted Leah, Maya invited herself. She knew them personally, knew they had affiliates with gangs, and did not care. Instead, what I found out in this investigation was that she tried to put Leah with one of these boys, and Leah was not interested. This boy was harassing Leah all night, trying to get her to kiss him. Then Leah had enough and went to her room. And the moment Maya left the house to go to McDonald's, that same boy and his friends went up to my daughter's room and roped her. The worst part about this to me is that people that were at the party heard her yelling and did not do anything, but just assumed a couple was arguing upstairs. We didn't know what happened until the next morning, when the party was over. Having her do a rope kit was traumatizing for her, and probably the worst moment as a parent for me. Then, a couple weeks later, she tested positive for a curable STD. My baby has been so broken ever since, even though they did get those boys, and all 4 pleaded guilty because they had evidence on their phones. But it's still extremely hard for Leah right now. Maya, on the other hand, has been remorseful, and Leah has no animosity towards her, doesn't blame her, and still loves her sister. But I don't know why. For me, I'm so angry at Maya, and I've been really trying to forgive her, but I can't as of now. I can't even look at her without wanting to lash out. Her prom is next weekend, and I honestly couldn't care less. She tries to have conversations with me, but it's hard for me to show any interest in them. I don't hate my daughter. I still love her. But I just have a strong dislike for her right now. I've been reading self-help books, trying to learn how to address this properly. I feel like I can't open up to anyone about this in life. I guess this may be a cry for help as a mother. Edit. Thank you for all the feedback. The most repetitive question I'm seeing is if Maya still watches Leah. The answer is hell no. I don't trust her anymore, and it might take years to get it back. I'm on a leave of absence currently. Also, Leah is not in therapy as of right now. She expressed to me that she's not ready for that. I think after the sentencing, she might be open to it. Maya is also in therapy, but skips a lot of appointments, and I'm in therapy too. And it's been helping me remain calm throughout this situation and not want to lash out at Maya. But the number one piece of advice that I'm seeing here that I'm strongly considering is sending Maya to my parents' house for a while and getting some space from her. Sorry, quick second edit. For the ones asking if Maya is in a gang, to my knowledge she isn't. The most I have ever caught her doing was smoking some pot and vaping. I also don't want to think Maya would ever intentionally set up her sister to be brutally assaulted. So I'm leaning towards Maya, who is genuinely being plain neglectful that night. Also, I feel like it would have come up in the investigation if she had intentionally set up Leah. Also, the boy Maya was trying to set Leah up with was 17 at the time. He's 18 now, and the other 3 were grown men. Relevant comments. Commenter. Therapy, ASAP, for all of you. OP response. Yes, of course, I already started going to therapy way before this. And Leah, on the other hand, doesn't want to do therapy just yet, and I want to respect her boundaries. Maya has been skipping a lot of her appointments, but she's also in personal therapy as well. Update. A lot has progressed in the past couple of days, and it would be only right to update you guys on what happened and get some advice from you guys regarding everything. but to answer multiple questions I received from my last post about why Maya hasn't been further punished. To put it quite simply, Maya was arrested the night of Leah's attack. She was charged with felony child endangerment and 2 misdemeanors. The judge was very nice to her and made her pay a $2,000 fine, 60 hours of community service, and 3 years of probation. Plus, I took her car. But after this update, I maybe should have given her a harsher punishment. But back to the update. On Thursday afternoon, me and Maya got into a fight. The dispute happened because Leah came to me virtually upset and on the verge of tears. Because 5 people messaged her that day, expressing condolences about her attack. Leah has been very clear. She doesn't want anyone that she knows to know that she was the victim of the attack. Upon further investigation, it turns out that Maya told a group chat of 27 people that Leah was the victim. Leah vocalized to me how humiliated she feels and that she can't ever go back to school next year. I, of course, then go confront Maya about it. She kept saying I was overreacting and that Leah was being dramatic. I tried to reason with her to see how she hurt her sister, but she did not see the issue. She stopped me off mid-lecture and said, "Jesus Christ, Mom, you need to let her deal with this SHT instead of always rushing to her defense. Leah is not different from other women in the world that deal with rope. At least they don't make it their entire personality like she does. Also, she's fine." I literally overheard her talk to a boy on the phone last night. It just clicked for me at that moment that she was not actually remorseful at all, and that I just witnessed her mask slip. I just responded with, "Pack your SHT up," and that she will be staying with my parents until I allow her back. That's exactly what she did. But the next morning, I got a text from Maya to meet her at her therapist appointment, which was later that day. Looking back, I wish I had never gone because her therapist only saw her POV. But at the start of the appointment, it opened up with Maya apologizing and explaining her thought process of why she told her friends. And it was because she was venting. Plus, she didn't think of it as a big deal because it was a public case that was on the news, and Leah seems fine these days. We then get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Maya then tells me in front of the therapist that she feels emotionally neglected by me and that I never seem to care about her trauma when it comes to the situation. Which for her is having to stay in jail for a weekend and losing one of her friends who is one of Leah's literal rapists. I wish I could say I'm joking, but I'm dead serious. We were talking about that for the first 30 minutes. Her therapist was guilt-tripping me for not being more emotionally there for Maya and saying that I should try to see her as her mom since their father is no longer with us. But call me an awful parent. But I don't want to be emotionally there for Maya if it involves me having to help her mourn the friendship of the person who ruined her sister's life. The therapist was on one, especially since she kept referring to what happened to Leah as an accident, or that Leah seems happier these days because that's what Maya has been telling her, when Leah is quite literally high off antidepressants and still scores extremely low on the mental health evaluation. But I finally just had an outburst. Feel free to skip over the next paragraph, because there is a massive trigger warning. I get very graphic here, but I'm just reiterating what I said. What I said to both Maya and her therapist was, I think it's kind of disgusting that the two of you are refusing to acknowledge Leah's trauma in this and keep referring to it as an accident. You spent a weekend in jail while your sister was in the hospital, suffering from something your friend did to her. Ironically enough, if you ever listen to Leah, she said that a friend of yours was the most violent towards her during the attack and was the catalyst for the majority of injuries she sustained, including strangling her. So for you guys to sit here and berate me for not caring that you lost your friend because of something terrible your friend did to your sister is absolutely disgusting. My biggest regret right now is helping you obtain a lawyer. I should have let you rot in that cell and let you figure it out yourself. Maya started sobbing in the office at this point, saying it wasn't fair that I blamed her for what happened to Leah. She told me the only thing she was trying to do was have Leah come out of her shell because she kept hovering next to her at the party. The therapist then interjects and asks Maya how Leah responded to her when she apologized. Maya, in such a defensive manner, says, "Apologize for what? I didn't rope her." Even the therapist was shocked when she said that. And at that point, I heard enough and stood up, threw my hands up, and left. I haven't spoken to Maya since then. And this was Friday afternoon. Maya has been texting me and calling me, begging to come home so she can apologize to both me and Leah. But I don't know at this point. I never thought I would be that parent who would have to go out of contact with my daughter. But I don't know if I can stomach being around her. I can't trust her, and she's not remorseful whatsoever about what happened. A part of me wants to try to make it work for the sake of Leah, because she asked yesterday if she ruined our family. And that broke my heart. Leah loves and looks up to Maya. And I don't think she can comprehend at this time that Maya also failed her. I'm just stuck. Or tell me if I'm wrong for not understanding Maya. I'm sorry for the not-so-happy update. TLDR. Maya got kicked out of the house after she exposed Leah for being a victim in her group chat with friends. And we then went to her therapist appointment together, where it was just a lot of gaslighting, and them trying to hold me accountable for not being emotionally there for Maya, which involved me not feeling bad that she lost her friend who was one of Leah's rapists or didn't care enough to go to jail. By the end of the session, Maya had vocalized that she didn't think she needed to apologize to Leah and showed zero remorse. I'm on the verge of going out of contact with her. Relevant comments. Commenter. You are not in the wrong. You want to be there for your children. But clearly, Maya cannot take responsibility for the role she played in this. I would like to say that it's maybe her not wanting to truly realize it and acknowledge it for fear of the guilt that would consume her. But it is clear she just doesn't feel remorse. Honestly, I'm so glad her mask slipped in front of the therapist too. Hopefully, that gave them the insight that maybe, just maybe, they've been fed lies. It was still very weird and horrible for them to treat the situation that way, given what they seemed to know already about the attack. Also, I'm curious about your other child. Do they live in the house or near it? Do they know what happened to Leah? I'm just wondering about her support right now. She obviously has you, but especially with her thinking she ruined the family. I'm wondering if she has anyone else close that she can lean on. Also, with some people now knowing, and there being gang affiliation involved, I'm wishing for love and safety for you and Leah. No one deserves that, especially not a child who is supposed to be safe in her own home. OP response. So my oldest is my son. He got married a month before everything went down, and I didn't want to drag him in too much about Maya because I wanted him to enjoy the newlywed phase with his wife. He and his wife are very supportive, and his wife takes Leah all the time for sleepovers or just to get her out of the house. Commenter. I've been following this. But for context, how did Maya react when you told her what happened? I'm agreeing with the other comments when it comes to her being potentially a sociopath. OP response. So I should say what happened that morning at this point. I came home at 8:30-ish am from work and my house was trashed, and a couple of Maya's friends were still there. I of course argued with Maya for a bit about throwing a party, and then I went to check on Leah, and she wasn't in her room, but her sheets were bloody. So I thought maybe it was time of the month, and that she was showering or sleeping in my bed. But when I checked my room, I did not see her. I started calling Leah, and her phone did ring. I heard it come from my closet. It's a walk-in, and I saw her wrapped in a blanket like a cocoon. I then shook her to wake up, but she wasn't waking up. I then tried to unwrap her, and that's when I noticed her scalp bleeding, and I see abrasions around her neck. So I started screaming. Someone called 911, and Leah kind of started waking up in the ambulance, and she started crying. The first thing she told me was that Maya's friend roped her, and that she couldn't get up because she was in so much pain. When the police and ambulance showed up, and I honestly didn't care about Maya in that moment. All I told her was to be honest with the police, and she should be fine. I didn't know what I knew at this point. They took her to the precinct, and the cops interrogated her after getting a medical report for what happened to Leah. They decided to charge her with child endangerment. I did not see Maya's reaction when they told her about what happened to Leah, but when she saw Leah once she got out of jail, she gave her a big hug, and I thought it was a sweet moment. The only red flag that stands out to me from that time is that Maya was not fully corporate about giving out names because she said she forgot. Luckily, DNA results from the crime scene and on Leah show that all 4 of Leah's rapists were already in the system for other crimes. One was even on probation, so they were easy to find, and it was a domino effect after that. Commenter. I would strongly suggest moving. I'm so sorry about everything that has happened and is happening, and I hate to put more on you, but you might want to consider moving Leah to a different school. OP response. Thank you. And I recently put our home up for sale. We're moving to a rental in July. I didn't want to let it go originally because, selfishly, I and my late husband bought that house together, which has sentimental value. But I agree with everyone that we need to move for things to get better. Update. This is an update from a previous post I made. For more context, please refer to my earlier post. My daughter Leah F14 has been having a tough time with the aftermath of her rope last December. This past week has been particularly bad for us. It started last Tuesday when a sheriff and another official visited our home. They informed us that one of Leah's rapists, the one who filmed the assault, had shared the video within a group, and now it's circulating on parts of the dark web. The video was filmed in Leah's room and contained identifiable objects that revealed where she went to school. I was devastated upon hearing this news. Leah's reaction surprised me. She didn't cry or show much emotion. Instead, she simply shrugged and said, "I figured," before just sitting there in silence. The officials reassured us that it's uncommon for perpetrators to surface in such cases, but they felt obligated to inform us for safety reasons. After they left, Leah resumed acting as if nothing had happened, almost overly cheerful. I attempted to discuss it with her several times, but she avoided the topic. This behavior persisted throughout the week until she unexpectedly revealed that she had written a victim impact statement and wanted to read it herself in court, rather than allowing the prosecutor to do so. She felt that since there was no trial, only the charges against the rapist were known, not the details of what she endured. Her statement is a detailed account of that horrific night, but she has yet to read it to me in its entirety, because she breaks down in tears every time she tries. That moment was the only time I saw her express emotion all week, until Saturday night. That evening, Leah appeared unusually cheerful again and mentioned going to bed early. Around 8 p.m., I didn't think much of it until I received a call from one of Leah's closest friends' mothers. She was concerned because Leah's last message to her daughter was a note expressing love and asking her to check on her. I rushed to Leah's room and found she had attempted to overdose on ZZZ-Quil. As a nurse, I knew she would recover, but seeing her wake up in the hospital was heartbreaking. She screamed, "Why couldn't you just let me die? I want to die, Mom. I'm tired of feeling their hands on me. I want it to stop. Please let me die." They had to sedate her to calm her down. Following this, Leah was placed under a 72-hour psychiatric hold and subsequently transferred to a mental health facility with peers her age. The staff recommended extending her stay beyond the initial hold, but Leah has been struggling, especially with a male staff member, possibly a psychiatrist, who she says is asking invasive questions about her sexuality, causing discomfort. Staff members informed me she isn't participating in group activities and appears standoffish. They even proposed restricting her ability to contact me as a consequence, though I requested they hold off on implementing such measures. I'm uncertain if the current inpatient setting is suitable, given Leah's apparent difficulty adjusting. Her plea for her to die continues to haunt me. It's a thought I can't shake. Leah's best friend shared additional details. Leah had kept from me, there's a hurtful rumor circulating that Leah let a train run on her, leading to her involving the police out of embarrassment. Children can be so incredibly cruel. As far as my other daughter, Meyer F18, I haven't spoken to her in 2 weeks. But I recently discovered why Leah feels indebted to her. 2 years ago, I found inappropriate messages on Leah's phone between her and Maya's ex-boyfriend. He expressed love for Leah and also compared her to Maya. He told her she was way prettier than Maya, and he liked that she was her virgin. When I told Maya, she was furious and broke up with him, but she believed Leah had betrayed her by engaging with her boyfriend. Even though Leah was 12 at the time and her boyfriend was 17, Maya still avoided Leah for 3 months afterward, and despite Leah's efforts to apologize, Maya still holds a grudge. Leah blames herself for damaging their relationship because of this incident. I'm sharing this to get this off my chest. I've kept these struggles within our family to protect my daughters. I'm exhausted, constantly dealing with new challenges, and unsure how to mend them. Now, I find myself in the difficult position of deciding whether Leah is mentally prepared to speak at her rapist's sentencing. I fear she'll resent me for this decision, but I question if she's in a stable enough state to handle a potential traumatic event. Because these boys actually have character witnesses. Update. So I read a lot of your responses, and I agree. I don't think impatience is for her. So I'll be getting her tomorrow when her 72-hour hold is up. I'm going to spend today researching the right therapist for her, who specializes in cases like Leah. As far as letting Leah speak at her sentencing, I'm still conflicted on that. I know I can't shield her from the world, but I just have the biggest fear that my baby will pour her heart out in the courtroom, and it will be like Brock Turner all over again, and they somehow just get the minimum sentence. More information on the psych. So I talked to Leah further about how what the psychologist said to her made her uncomfortable. She told me that when I left, they made her sit down with him one-on-one to basically debrief why she was there and what's causing her to have these thoughts. She opened up to him and told her about the rope. However, he asked her if this was her only sexual experience, and she told him yes, but he kept questioning her, like he didn't believe it was her only experience, and saying to her that he wouldn't tell me if it wasn't that she could say it. And she kept telling him, no, this was her only experience. Then he asked about her sexuality, and if she was still attracted to men, and she just told him that she doesn't think about relationships right now. She just said that she felt weird about him asking a lot of questions about her sexual life. When it was just those two alone in a room with the door closed. I'm not going to accuse the psych of being a creep, because maybe he was simply doing his job. But I feel like he should have known to have a female staff member ask her those questions. Or just have a woman present. He had seen her chart before he saw her. Update. A little positive update. I got Leah out of the treatment center on Wednesday, and I took her immediately to a mental health trauma care practice, where she met with a psychiatrist for a consultation. She told me she doesn't think Leah wants to truly die, but is suffering from extreme PTSD and depression, and that her lack of sleep contributed to her psychotic break. The psychiatrist was also impressed with how long she's been keeping it together. I really like the practice, and Leah does too. It was cute. They gave her a little photo album of the therapist at the practice, and let her choose which one she thought she would vibe the best with. She met her on the same day because she happened to be there. Her first session with her will be after the sentencing. She's on sleeping medication now, and has been sleeping a lot since she's been home. The inpatient facility was not for her in any way. I read the reviews on this place, and they had really horrible reviews. I learned from my coworker. He told me that clinics like that only exist to break children into not having mental health issues and acting normal. Leah said she didn't shower and barely slept her entire time there. She didn't shower because someone would need to monitor her. And she couldn't sleep because she's apparently not allowed to sleep with a blanket over her face. And they had cameras in her room with an intercom to wake her every time she did put a blanket over her face. However, she did say that she learned her situation can be much worse after hearing some of the other kids' stories. She told me she was grateful for me. Yes, I did cry. I will be letting her speak at the sentencing. I didn't realize she didn't have to speak in front of everyone, and that there were a lot of other options. She's into the idea of a voice memo currently, so she won't get triggered by seeing her rapist staring at her. Maya randomly came to the house unannounced to drop off flowers for Leah. Leah told her she attempted, and I didn't talk to her the entire visit. When she left, I told Leah Maya she wasn't allowed here, and I'm really mad at her. I would like it if she limited her contact with her. She thinks I'm trying to put her in the middle, which I'm not. But after the sentencing, I will be telling her about Maya's actions towards her and how she was wrong. I was going to give Maya the opportunity to tell Leah herself, but Maya has a habit of telling half-truths to cover her lies. So we will see. I'll update you guys in the coming weeks after the sentencing, and after I tell Leah about Maya. In the comments. OP. There was a lot happening the day of the incident. Leah was in the hospital and initially refused to tell the authorities what happened, only briefly mentioning who did this to her in the ambulance. It took her 3 hours to give her statement and close to 5 hours for her to agree to undergo a rope kit. I was there when Leah gave her statement, and she barely mentioned her sister. Meanwhile, my whole house turned into an active crime scene, so I was dealing with that while being at the hospital with Leah. Maya was also being interrogated this entire time, and when I got the call from her, she told me they had arrested her and charged her with child endangerment because she threw a party while babysitting. It made sense to me at the time. I wasn't thinking properly, as a lot was going on and my emotions were all over the place. I did help her, and I do regret it. I didn't know the extent of her actions until the cop who interrogated her told me what made him arrest her was because she left the house. He might have let it go if she had cooperated during the interrogation. She wasn't giving the names of the guests who were there and forgot a lot of details. When I confronted Maya about her lying, she was crying and told me how bad she felt. She said they were confusing her during the interrogation and that she wasn't fully sober. She was crying while telling me this and insisted she didn't intend for anything bad to happen to Leah. She just figured Leah was asleep when she left and wouldn't need anything. Again, my mind never went to Maya having anything to do with this because she was there for Leah for most of the time, up until after her own hearing when she found out that she wouldn't be serving any jail time. That's when I noticed her energy switched, which led to my first post. Regarding the situation with Maya's ex, Maya was mad at Leah because I did leave out a detail in the post that I didn't find relevant at the time, as her ex is the only culprit for me. But Leah and her ex were communicating back and forth for 5 months before I realized that Leah had been secretive about her phone and who she was talking to. The messages were very inappropriate, and they were having a secret relationship. He was grooming her, and they even kissed while Maya wasn't looking at one point. When I told Maya, she didn't initially believe me, so I showed her the messages. She was very heartbroken that her boyfriend was grooming her sister and also talking horribly about her to her little sister. I took the approach of letting her be upset about it, so she felt her feelings were validated. even if that meant not talking to her sister for a bit. I realize now that it was the wrong approach because it obviously manifested into something awful. There are a lot of flaws in my parenting. I will admit that. There are many things I did that I really wish I could take back or handle differently. My husband was more of the disciplinarian between the two of us, and since he died, I've been trying to find my backbone. To put it quite simply, the only defense I have is that I'm just a mom who was thinking with emotions in these moments and not logic. Update. I'm having a hard time having an open conversation with my daughter about his ex. So my daughter F14 has a boyfriend, and the way she explained it to me is that they have been talking since November of last year. But they made it official on the 4th of July. But she says they have been technically dating since November. I have no idea what that means, but maybe the youngsters can educate me on what that means. But he's been spending a lot of time at my house because it's summer. I also know his parents because I grew up with his dad, so I know he's a good kid. But as the visits become more frequent, I'm noticing they're becoming closer and more affectionate. At first, I wasn't worried because they barely hugged each other, but now she's sitting on his lap, and they're spooning on the couch, and usually I'm a pro at giving the talk. I gave my other children the talk and made it a funny thing. But with this one, she went through a traumatic SAT, so I've been kind of hesitant to bring up the topic of sex, because I don't want to accidentally trigger her. But I also feel like I need to have this conversation with her, because she's in a relationship now, and I'm not stupid. I know how teenagers are. The last talk I gave her was when she got her period. So any helpful tips on how I can navigate this conversation will be greatly appreciated. Update. I'm back with a much anticipated update. This is a long one. A lot has happened, but I want to start with the positive. Leah started therapy after the sentencing, and she's been speaking positively about it. She said it was shocking that she didn't have to talk about the assault with her therapist, which was refreshing. Her therapist also suggested some EMDR sessions, with her first one scheduled for next week. Her general doctor also cleared her to start cheering again if she wanted to and recommended she start birth control. I'm unsure about that because I know how much of a toll it can have on mental health, and I don't want to ruin any progress. We also moved into our new rental, and I let Leah get a kitten. That's her baby currently. I barely see the cat since we got it because she always has her. We also had to trash the majority of Leah's furniture to help her healing process. I was trying to give her the Pinterest room of her dreams, but she doesn't like the stuff she used to and wants barely any color, so it's a work in progress. She also has a boyfriend now. He asked her out on the 4th. He's age appropriate, and I know the kid because I grew up with his dad, so I know he comes from a good family. The only thing I'm worried about is that it seems like she might be becoming codependent on him. If he's not at my house, they're on FaceTime together, and every time we go out, she wants him to tag along. It's been like this since before he asked her out. I'd say it's been like this since Maya moved out, but I'm not too worried because I think it's only like this now because it's summer and a new relationship. On the surface, she is content for the moment. In my last post, I received a lot of negative messages because I wasn't doing things fast enough or wasn't telling my son all the details. I almost didn't want to make this post, but I want to make sure that I know my children and they know me. I'm a person who values timing. Before I said anything to my other kids, I wanted to make sure I had facts, not assumptions. I wanted to schedule a meeting with the detective who interrogated Maya to tell him everything. So I knew in my heart that I tried my best to hold my daughter accountable for her actions. When I met with the detective, he told me he did investigate Maya, but there wasn't enough evidence. Even with everything I told him, it's not enough to indict her, so he can only charge her with child endangerment for leaving a minor she was watching in a house with a registered sex offender. However, he validated everything I thought and reassured me. He also told me that it's estimated that Leah's attack lasted close to 2 hours, during which 2 of the defendants had enough time to rope her twice, and Maya never went upstairs to check, nor showed any concern while being questioned, which triggered him to arrest her. He also said he investigated a lot of sex crimes, but this case disturbed him because so many bystanders knew something bad might be happening, but didn't intervene. Everyone failed, Leah, not just Maya, and he advised me to keep that in mind. I met with my son and his wife before the sentencing. He was more disappointed than upset. He felt it in his gut, but thought Maya wouldn't do it intentionally. My son and Dill told me they always felt Maya was jealous or threatened by Leah. My son noticed it when Leah got her braces off and started growing into her face, attracting Maya's friends to talk to her more because I guess she's considered the nicest sister among those two. My Dill said she witnessed it firsthand during the bridesmaid dress fitting. Maya refused to compliment Leah, but critiqued her instead. When my dill told Maya that Leah would unlock so much potential once she realized her beauty and ignored her bullies, Maya said, "I know, that's why I have to humble her." My dill thought it was weird, but didn't think much of it until now. They also told me that Maya blocked them as soon as I threw her out, and now they know why. The sentencing wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Leah said she initially thought it was boring. The character witnesses for the rapists were, of course, their moms and dads. One mom said that this was an awful night and that we needed to stop spreading more hurt. One dad said his son was sod at Leah's age and that Leah must have triggered that in him. Leah wasn't fazed by this. She told me she ignored them, but I could tell it bothered her. Leah decided to do a video and read her victim impact statement, and I was so extremely proud of her. All 4 rapists apologized to Leah in their statements to the judge, but she didn't look at them. She heard them and felt that only one was genuinely sorry. The others gave robotic responses. 2 of the rapists were sentenced to 10 years, but could get out as soon as 6 years. The one who recorded it got 12 years because of his prior convictions, and the prosecutor told me he might be in there for 20+ years due to a separate CP charge. Maya's friend, the one Leah fears the most, got 14 years, with the judge noting he should serve the full term and not be paroled because he got in trouble for doing something similar in the past. Leah was okay with their sentencing, though she wished they all got 14 years. She will be notified if they get out early or if there are any parole hearings. Maya was there, according to my son, but she stayed way in the back and immediately left after the court was adjourned. Some of the rapist families tried to talk and apologize to Leah directly, which was the only thing that freaked her out. Other than that, I think she was fine. While we were driving back home, we started debriefing everything, and I tried to explain the process of what's going to happen next. When we got home, Leah told me it was weird that one of the rapists referred to Maya as his friend, because there was no way Maya would be friends with someone like that. My face turned white when she said this. I knew it was time to tell her, so I said, "I've been meaning to tell you this. There are many reasons why I'm upset with your sister." She was still confused, so I explained that Maya got arrested for leaving the house, not for throwing the party. She didn't care about that. She was just like, "Oh, okay." Then I said he wasn't lying in court. He was your sister's friend, and Maya went behind your back that night to try and set you guys up. That's when I saw the moment of realization happen. Leah thought I was lying at first, but when I started to further explain, it was like watching someone's heart break before my eyes. She cut me off and said, "I don't believe you. Maya would never be friends with someone that horrible." I just said she might not have been best friends with him, but she did have some form of relationship with him. Leah responded, "Mom, that is really bad if that's true. No one understands how mean he was to me. All day, I had to sit in the courtroom hearing that he was such a good person when it's not true. Why doesn't no one believe that?" I started apologizing to her at this point, and she pulled out her phone and called Maya. Maya answered with a very cheerful hello, and Leah got straight to the point, asking if she was ever friends with her rapist. I honestly thought Maya was going to lie, but she said she was before it happened. Leah then asked if she was trying to get her to date him, and Maya told the truth and said yes. Leah hung up on her before Maya tried to explain herself, and Leah started shaking really badly while typing on her phone. I realized now she was blocking Maya on everything. After she was done, she looked up at me with tears in her eyes and said, "Mom, why does she hate me so much? What did I ever do to her? I've been trying to be her friend, and she still hates me. Why?" We cried together for the rest of the day, honestly. The next day, Leah told me she's done with Maya and wants nothing to do with her for a while. She said that after she slept on it, she felt more mad than sad. She opened up and told me how Maya made her feel so guilty, saying she ruined her senior year and blamed herself for what happened by not being more careful and not locking the door. But to now find out that she did lock the door and Maya had much more control of the situation than she led Leah to believe makes her so upset. Then she told me that Maya has a drug problem with Adderall and painkillers, which she had sworn to keep secret because Maya promised she was quitting. I asked her when the drug addiction started, and Leah said she didn't know, but she caught her stealing her Concerta in April 2023. That's when Maya confessed to the drug issue. Leah also believes one of her rapists was Maya's dealer, as he used to come to the house at night when I was working. Leah now thinks that Maya traded her for more drugs and never quit as she promised, which hurts her deeply. She also recounted that during the attack, her rapist said that if she didn't cooperate, they would hurt Maya, which makes her feel worse because she knows Maya wouldn't do the same for her. That was the last time we really talked about Maya, and that was a couple of weeks ago. But I know that it's really taking a toll on her. So that's why I splurged and let her get a kitten. Maya doesn't know our new address, but has tried to reach out to Leah numerous times using text-free numbers. Leah is not interested whatsoever. She's no longer with my parents. My mill, with whom I've never gotten along, has taken Maya in, paying for her college and buying her a new car just to spite me. I wish I were making this up, but she posted it on Facebook. The messed up part is that my mill knows about what happened to Leah and everything Maya did, but simply doesn't care. She thinks Maya is as much a victim as Leah, and even called Leah to guilt trip her, using their dad as leverage, saying, "Your dad would hate to see you fight and hold a grudge against your sister over a mistake." That's when I stopped talking to her and told Leah not to respond to her anymore. I'm extremely close to filing a civil lawsuit on behalf of Leah against Maya, since my mill wants to undermine my parenting and go against and hurt her other granddaughter by financing Maya's life. However, my therapist doesn't think that will help me or Leah heal. But I'm so frustrated with that situation. I'm sorry there isn't a better conclusion. Other than that, I lost 3 people in the span of 4 years, and I'm not doing well. I'm really depressed. I lost the love of my life and both of my daughters. I still mourn the loss of my little girl. She will never be the same, and I can't be around my other daughter because I believe she's a deeply flawed, dangerous person, and I blame myself for not seeing it in time. I worry about anyone she comes across in her adult life. TLDR, we moved and got a kitten. Leah is doing well in therapy. Leah has a boyfriend now. Leah's ROP is 10 years. Both Leah and my son know everything about Maya, and neither wants anything to do with her. Leah told me Maya has an undercover drug issue. My mill is financing and taking care of Maya. I want to sue them, and I'm depressed. Relevant comments. Slow_Jacama_15351. I've just read this whole thread, and it's clearly total BS. Your daughter, who was sent to the psychiatric ward, now has a boyfriend, even though she couldn't be around other men. How you gonna sue your mill? It's not illegal to take your granddaughter home. I don't know what wonderland country you live in, but court cases last longer than a couple months. You're letting them throw house parties when you are out. Maybe you should be charged with child endangerment. The list goes on. However, I rate the creative writing. OP. Her boyfriend is not a man. He's a 15-year-old boy that she was friends with prior to all of this happening and had a strong friendship with. I was referring to emotional damages and negligence on behalf of Leah, since the police said that's the only thing I can do. My daughter was roped. She was in the hospital 5 hours after her attack. The police opened an investigation. They interviewed people and both of my daughters to figure out who was at the parties. There's a database of criminals, and they were quickly able to figure out who they were, especially with fresh DNA. They came up, and they got arrested. They all decided to plead guilty, and what just happened was the sentencing. IDOWhy you guys keep thinking it was this massive trial when I said so many times there was no trial. You didn't read my initial post at all, because I never said I approved of a party or anyone at my house. Strawberry char. It's obviously been since the first post. The way mom is assuming Maya set it up, when there's zero evidence of that, and then relaying that information to her Leah. Such BS. No mother would do something like that. OP. I never told Leah or my son that Maya set this up. I gave them all the facts of the situation, and they came to that conclusion themselves. I never even considered Maya to set this up until my first post, and my comments started screaming that she set this up. Also, in my first post, I quite literally said I was just frustrated with her. After my first post, I started looking into the possibility that she might have done this intentionally. And after that therapy appointment, it just sealed the deal for me that it might have been actually intentional, or that my daughter is lying about something and not being fully honest. Mamicase. I personally feel like you shouldn't even be allowing Leah to date. I feel like at least a year after what happened, she's most definitely dependent on him, which can open up another form of toxic relationship. OP. I understand some people might feel this way, and I did a lot of personal research and talked to her therapist, and she suggested this would be a good way for her to feel the sense of being a teenager. He's a good kid too, and she's been friends with him for a while. I just trust her, and I think she will be okay. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.